the condition itself sounds strange. Yes. Your body that is supposed to protect you is now fighting against you. There are so many words we have for it in Yoruba. They call it AD, they call it Asasi and stuff like that.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Celebrating Women's Story. Today I have a warrior, a very, very beautiful warrior. She is going to be showing us today what it means to fight and fight amazingly well. Today I have with me Abisola. So let's meet Abisola. Hi Abisola.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Mistura Abisola. Yeah, I go by Mistura, and I'm a lupus warrior. I've had lupus for 9 years. Lupus is an autoimmune disease, which means that your immune system that's supposed to be protecting your organs, your cells, your body from infections have actually kind of turned against you and are now fighting your body. So your immune system is basically attacking your body as opposed to, protecting your organs. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here today and, willing to share your story with me.
Thank you.
So, what was life before lupus?
Okay, so like I mentioned, I've had lupus for 9 years, and I was diagnosed when I was 19. So I was in 300 level studying mass communication at the University of Lagos, and it was a pretty chilled lifestyle. Like I was a teenager in university, and I was somebody that had never fallen sick. There was never a reason for me to go to the hospital. I was that very healthy child. So falling sick with lupus was something that I thought, oh, it was just that malaria that I would have, and then the next day I would get medications and it would get better. So it was just me. Oh, and I was a student that wanted to get first class. So I had like a straight line type of lifestyle from class to hostel, and that was it. Right. And it just started happening. I started falling sick. At the time it was a period where school we didn't have school hostels because the hostel was getting renovated, so students didn't get to enter the school hostel for a while, so we had to come from home. So I initially thought it was the stress of coming all the way from home that made me fall ill, but it became a case of like I was sick all the time. I started seeing a lot of symptoms, hair falling off, started seeing blood come out of my nose. I was losing weight, and coming from a Nigerian background or an African background, your parents, when you're somebody that you never fallen sick before, your parents will first assume that this thing is looking like spiritual attack now because it just didn't make sense. Like, and then my face I wake up in the morning and my face would be swollen, like swollen almost as if somebody beats me up in my sleep. And it just didn't make sense to my parents because this was somebody that never used to fall sick. So we didn't really go to the hospital straight. We were still trying to manage things ourselves because we were assuming a lot of things. But after like 2-3 months of back and forth, different symptoms at the time. Okay, so sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and my skin will feel like maybe something had burnt me. It would be peeling off. My hair would have fallen off the bed, and we were still saying, this could be something else. This could be spiritual attack. It was when it got to the extreme. One of my friends, our mom is a nurse at Lasut, and then it was through them that we had to go to Lasut, and that was when the journey started. Because lupus is a medical condition that mimics other conditions, so you don't necessarily get to diagnose it with one test.
Yeah.
So at the time they were doing lots of tests. Because today I would the symptoms would be something that they would call, maybe this was kidney problems. Then they would do some tests, give me medications for that. The next day, skin issues, The next time is blood coming out of my nose, my mouth, and stuff like that. They were doing different tests until about 2 months later. That was, almost like I turned into like a lab experiment, because every single day there will be a new symptom, right? Before the rheumatologist now stepped in. So those are doctors that actually care for people with lupus. They were the
Yeah.
ones that now said, oh, they suspect that this is lupus. And like I said, there's no single test to diagnose lupus. So you have to have exhibited a lot of symptoms before they know that it is lupus.
Yeah.
So before the doctors now came in. So that was how life was for me. I went from like, that teenager, because my education was fast. As at night, when I was 19, I was already in final, in 300 level rather. So I was chasing first class. I wanted to graduate with the first class. But everything just came like, as a shock. And then lupus became my new reality.
How did this affect you mentally?
Okay, so because when I started falling sick, because I knew that I was somebody that did used to fall sick. So like I mentioned, I assumed that it was just a temporary thing, right? And I was going to get better and then it would be over.
Yeah.
So when it started, like, even when I was diagnosed, when the doctors told me I was diagnosed, I still did not necessarily, I wasn't worried per se until I started reading about lupus. Then it became a case of this was supposed to be forever, like it was going to be a chronic illness.
Yeah.
I'm going to be taking medication for the rest of my life. And I mentioned that some of the symptoms got my hair falling off.
Mhm.
So there was a party. I remember the day that it sank in, right? It was the day, or sunk in, if that's the word. Was the day I woke up after my diagnosis, and what was left of my, before, my hair was still falling off small small. But that day I woke up and all my hair was gone. Like, when you sleep on your back and all the hair at the back had fallen off like tissue. That was when it actually dawned on me, because at the time I was already diagnosed. I was already on like medications. So imagine now experiencing that. So it felt like, so if this is me already getting better, does that mean, okay, how am I getting better when my hair is still falling off? That was when it occurred to me, or it dawned on me, that this was going to be me. And that was when the breakdown started. Because all the while I was in the hospital, I was still, still chesting it, for lack of a better word. I was feeling to
Yeah.
get better, to get better. I was learning to take medications. I went from somebody that did not like one paracetamol, I would have to swallow like 20. So, but that particular day, there was something it did to me, because not only was I diagnosed with like a condition that would be for the rest of my life, it was also something that was going to affect me physically. So I was thinking, so will I go back to school with this hair? And then if I was already getting better and my hair was falling off, so does that mean even the medications don't necessarily work? And then when I asked my doctor, they said yes, it works, but then there are times when you get flares. So what do you mean flares? Flares means you could have kidney problems, you could have heart problems. It can choose to attack your. And I'm like, okay, if I'm taking medications, are they not supposed to be doing something for this? And then they said their lupus is not predictable. That was when the mental breakdown. I was so, it affected me so badly that I was diagnosed in April, May, and as at October, I was admitted into a psychiatric clinic, because I had top level depression. There was the time I even wanted to overdose, just to say, nah, I was done with this. Like, for like by October, I was in a psychiatric ward, because my, even till now I still have to take medication for depression, because it's not something that, no matter how you try to say, oh, I'm strong, by the time you go back into your house, and there's this thing that it does to you, where you wake up in the morning. Before, in fact, this morning when I was coming, I was feeling ill. I had to take my medication before I could get myself. And that act alone, there's something that it does to you that makes you feel, am I, when does this even end?
And
When does this stop? And so that was like what mad, the day that it dawned on me was when, even though I was taking my medications, I still had to feel this way. My hair was still falling off. And then you're telling me I have to be ready for a lot of things. That had a really strong strain on my mental health. I'm not going to lie. It still is actually, but that was like when it started coming together that, oh wow, this is going to be lifelong.
And there is no cure for lupus.
There's no cure this yet. I like to put yet.
Yet, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no cure yet. How did this affect your family?
It was it was a really tough time on my parents because I mean I'm the first child. And I, like I said, I went from a child that did not used to fall sick to now becoming so sick. And my parents had to deal with, different suggestions from people telling them, oh, this thing cannot be medical. Don't take her to the hospital. If they give her injection, it will become something else. People saying they had one prayer water, they had one special thing that we should take. And the funny thing was, what he was doing was, so when I was in the hospital, the doctors would give me medications, and then somebody will suggest to my parents that they should mix the medication with something. So immediately they do that, it will now affect the medication, and the doctors will be like, "But we gave you this thing. Why did it not work?" They will not know that my parents already snuck in. It affected them because they were really scared. They didn't know what this was, and I remember when the doctors had to explain that it was lupus. Like my mom didn't understand because the condition itself sounds strange. Your
Yes.
body that is supposed to protect you is now fighting against you. There are so many words we have for it in Yoruba. They call it AD, they call it Asasi and stuff like that. So I think it took my parents a while, even till now, deep down. Sometimes when we have conversations, my parents still want us to explore some more religious
Yeah.
cure because it just doesn't make sense, and it affected them financially as well because with Lupus is
Yes. It's
expensive.
expensive.
Even right now, I even before I started earning my own income, I know how much they used to spend on my medications, on my tests. So even at that time, when you become that lab rat, they had to spend a lot of money, CT scans, stuff like that. But because my parents are very like they have strong faith, right? So I think that was what helped them in terms of dealing with it. But it was a very stressful. My parents had to be in the hospital with me every day throughout the diagnosis in the hospital. Had to sleep over, sleep on the floor, sleep in the car, and they just kept hoping that that's why they kept trying all the religious, drink prayer water, let's pray for you, let's do this. But it really, I mean, it affected, and they used to say that lupus can actually be like maybe somebody in the family, someone else in the family could also have it.
Yeah.
So it became a question of, I hope my
Mm.
siblings will still not have this. I remember recently one of my siblings had like a small, she was ill for a while and she started showing like, those rashes with lupus, and it was a scary period as well because it brought back memories of when it started with me. So yeah, they had it rough, but I think for now in a much better place.
So how is life with it now?
Life with it, I think 9 years of dealing with something, there's something that it does to you, right? You kind of, for me, I've listened to my body. I know what my body wants. I know what I need to do when it feels like the symptoms are coming. So not all 2 days are the same thing.
Yeah.
Because there are days when I wake up and my energy is top level. But I already know that I must not overdo it because that energy, like, it's not something I should take advantage of and over stress myself. So like what I do now is, first, I don't joke with my medications. I'm the biggest advocate. Like, even though I eat the medications, I do not miss my medications. I can confidently say out of the 9 years I've had lupus, maybe the times I've missed it, probably like it will not be up to 10 days out of the 9 years, because I know that it works. I know that medications work. Even if sometimes you have flares and side effects from even the medications, that thing has helped me. Another thing is I'm very open about it because to manage expectations, especially like maybe trying to get a job, for example. As I'm getting the job, I'm letting them know that I have this condition. So they understand that there are times when I need to go for my appointment, there are times that I might be ill. So I don't hide it. In fact, if it means losing the job, I don't mind, because what I know is when people around you are aware of what's going on with you, it's easy to, like I mentioned, manage expectations. And even in terms of resting, I don't joke with rest. Any opportunity to take a nap, I'll take a nap. And then I've also found ways to distract myself with things I enjoy, for example, like dressing up. I mean, it gives me, I realize I'm somebody that I don't like my pain to show on me physically. So, not like I'm masking the pain, but I just like to have like a distraction
Yeah.
from, oh, I don't want people to see me and say, oh, she's sick. So, even my doctors know me when I come for appointments, I will wear my finest clothes. I might be sick like this, I will find one fine, colorful. But that was one of the reasons why I started wearing colors because I realized that it helps my mood. So, even when I'm sick, I'm going to the hospital. I'll find somewhere somehow to just wear something that doesn't make me look sick because there's something that it does to me mentally. It reminds me that there are brighter days. So that's one of the things that I've noticed about myself and how I've been able to cope. And like I said, I manage stress. Like all my friends or people around me, they know me. I don't go anywhere. Once it's evening, I'm going back home. I don't do sleepovers. I don't do anything that will make me not take my medications at night. I don't do that. So I've learned that once I listen to my body, at least I can predict when something is coming up and I can manage it. Because with lupus, even if you're taking your medications every day, there are times when the body will get used to those medications and want to overreact to them. So I've also learned to listen to my body. So I used to say that 9 years of experience is a long time. So I guess that's what has been helping me. And yeah, I keep in touch with my doctors. Any small symptoms, I'm letting them know. What could this be? What could is this another side effect? Because one thing is when you take medications for a long time too, it also affects your body in another way. So I make sure that as a matter of principle, I'm always letting my doctors know anything that's changed, anything that could be like a trigger. I'm also like preparing for it, and not most importantly taking my medications every day.
You're married.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is a sensitive part because people in fighting lupus most times are withdrawn or don't want to have or put their spouse in that position where they, because there's something I would say dealing with sick people.
Yeah, I'm dealing with sick
So
people.
how does your spouse handle this?
Okay, so I mean, my story. Well, I understand. My story is a bit different because my husband has always been in my life. So it was we were friends, or we were at the initial stages of dating when I was diagnosed 9 years ago. So it was part of the process. So almost like he knew me before the whole lupus thing. And so the difficult part of having to understand the condition, it went through the process. And I think, like I said, I always say that I'm lucky because there's really no manual to this thing.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to have a partner that was there from the beginning. So any kind of maybe fears that he had, he went through that process before he finally decided I was something he was cool with. But then I understand that a lot of lupus patients don't like to put themselves out there because it's hard enough to have a condition, and then it's not fair on people to have to deal with taking care of you for the rest of your life. So what I usually say is, and I know it's easier said than done, but what I usually say is when you meet somebody that is interested in you as a lupus patient, right, you need to let them know that this is your condition. But another thing is you don't want to spend your life with somebody that has not made the decision yet to be fine with who you are, right? And there's no really need to hide it. In fact, I tell some of my lupus sisters that in fact it's even a good thing that you have something that you can use to test people that are serious about you. Because once you tell somebody that you have a condition and they're already giving you signs that they are not interested, then it goes to show you that even if you were a very healthy person, if in future you develop something, that kind of person will not stay.
Yeah.
So it's good that you even have something that you can use to filter them out, at the initial stages. But for me, I just usually say that I'm lucky because my partner was since 9 years ago. He was already a part of my life, so he learned everything just the way I was learning them, and it was along the way that he made the decision. So I would say that I'm lucky about that. I always preach for a lot of openness because once you let somebody know and they start to give you signs that they are not interested, shows that kind of person, even in other areas of your life, they will not necessarily be. Because it's fine that, or it's valid if somebody feels like they don't want to take care of a sick person. But I also come from the angle of there are a lot of people that are LD, right? And along the marriage, they become sick.
Yeah.
So what would that kind of partner do? Would they walk away? So that's
True.
like lupus for me is like a filter for relationships, because if they cannot deal with that, then you already know that kind of person cannot be with you, you know, if something else now happens along the way.
What's one thing that people misunderstand about lupus?
Okay, one thing that they misunderstand, I don't even think it's misunderstand. They don't know, even they don't know enough to even misunderstand. It's like every time you talk about lupus, they don't get it. They don't. So I would say, in response to your question, I would say it's the fact that they don't understand that it is lifelong, right? They see when you say you have lupus, some people immediately say, "Oh, so you take medication. So are you fine now?" Yeah, that's the thing. Especially because lupus makes you gain weight. There are times when I gain so much weight, and to some people, it's like you've chopped up. Oh, you're now big. So that kind of thing, right? This you how do you explain that it's sickness that is dealing with
The
you?
steroids that you're taking.
For example, I was darker than this. It was because I became like this shade because my skin was peeling at some point. So the skin peeled, and when it healed, almost like the first layer of my skin peeled off, because I had these skin rashes that would look like sores, and then it would peel off, almost like something burnt, like blisters.
Yeah.
So imagine when I went back to school as a 19-year-old, I was dark. So imagine going back to school. First, some people even thought that
Bleaching.
I know that I got pregnant
Oh.
and I aborted. That was why I gained
Nothing.
weight.
Oh.
So people
My
said that I
God.
went to chop up because now my skin is fairer. My skin is now this. Do you get? So that's one misconception. People see you, and sometimes you don't look sick. So a lot of some lupus patients don't look sick, especially when you gain that weight. When another thing, when you lose your hair as a lupus patient, it comes back curly and like a baby's hair. So how do you explain all those things to people? It's until they see when you are like in your sick mode, that's when they actually get it. That misconception of, oh, you don't look sick is one thing, and then another misconception or thing or something that they misunderstand is they don't even understand it enough to
Yeah.
misunderstand, because they say, what's lupus? Your immune system is fighting your body. Then they're saying, take garlic now, take ginger will boost you. And then I'm like, I'm telling you that my immune system is too strong, so it's attacking my body. You're not telling me to take ginger that will help me make it stronger so that it can cuckoo kill me. Do you get? So that's another thing that yeah, another misconception. But those two are like the major ones that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Don't you have fears? Like lupus is an illness that you can literally drop dead at any time.
Yeah. I have fears though. In fact, like on our lupus support group, sometimes they'll post that somebody is dead, somebody that you just saw at your appointment, some days back, or somebody that used to chat on the group chat and share motivational quotes. Next thing they say the person is dead. I have fears though. In fact, I think it's my fears that is has actually made me realize that I need to enjoy my life. But some of my friends used to say that sometimes I act like somebody that feels like she doesn't have enough time, because and it's true, because now that I know that I can control my life, I'm alive today. Let me do all the things I want to do. Let me achieve. And like you said, lupus is you can do everything right and still end up, dead, because this thing is your body attacking you. Is your body choosing to go. Lupus is crazy. You can look at your art today and say, oh, this art is looking good, let me attack. And before you know it, you have a serious heart attack, or you have kidney failure. So yes, I'm very scared, but I think one thing I've done is to channel that fear into what are the things that I have control over. So on days that if I have a project now, I don't wait till tomorrow, because I don't know whether I'll be sick tomorrow. So let me do those things. If I have something that I need to achieve, I don't wait till tomorrow, because that tomorrow is not certain. Because I might be sick tomorrow, I might be in the hospital tomorrow. So that's one thing that has helped me deal with my fears. But deep down, I wake up every day, with fears. Like I literally live life in fears. But I guess finding a way to cope and handling it has helped me so far.
That's the spirit of a warrior. You've been fighting like a queen, actually. Like the fashion sense, everything. I see you are like, ooh, go queen. Like
Thank
you've
you.
been fighting like a queen that you are. And it's amazing to see you conquer it because we're hoping that the cure would come
Come very
very
soon.
soon. Very, very soon. Because it's how has fashion helped you so far?
For me, just like I said the other time, I realized that I'm somebody that doesn't like what I'm going through to be so obvious that
Obvious.
people can see it. And I also realized that I liked colors. So fashion for me was a way of coping, was a way of reminding myself that even though on the inside I'm dealing with the worst things, right? I need to express myself in other ways that doesn't show that pain. And so every time I dress up, right, it distracts me from whatever it is I'm going through. It's as simple as me wearing my favorite clothes for my hospital appointment, just so that when my doctor see me and say, ah, you say you are sick, and I'll say, as long as I don't look like I'm sick. So fashion has helped me cope. It has helped me channel all that pain into something else. Like, oh, I'm going to look good today. Even if my body is dealing with me, the
Mm-hmm.
world will not know that they're dealing with me. And then I don't want to look like what I'm going through. I will not look like what. So fashion has been a distraction. It has been a way of coping. Yeah.
What has your journey as a lupus warrior taught you?
What has taught me is that life is very unpredictable. I know we hear that all the time, but actually, with lupus, life is very, very unpredictable. And so, my biggest lesson is that we don't have enough time. And so, what you can do, all this procrastination, waiting for the next day, waiting for life to be perfect before you go after your dreams. I think lupus has made me realize that life cannot be perfect. And so anything that you have in your mind, like your ambition, your dreams, you don't have to wait till the next day. Start it now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Tomorrow I could be healed. There are days when I will set appointments with my friends and say we're going out. On that same day, I'll fall sick, I won't be able to go. Right. And it made me realize that all the things I want to achieve, I cannot put a time frame to them. So when I can, I'll do them to the fullest. I'll do them to the best of my capacity. Life has also taught me to I would say life has taught me to appreciate what I have now, right? Appreciate what I have now, because the present is all you have. I don't want to sound motivational, but the present is like a gift. So you take that gift and make the most of it, because tomorrow is really not certain. I mean, it's even evident in the fact that people who don't have lupus, you can have a friend today, tomorrow they are gone.
Mm.
But personally, for me, lupus has made me realize that I cannot postpone my dreams. I cannot procrastinate on my ambition. I cannot procrastinate on the things that make me happy, because I don't know if tomorrow is certain. So I'll take advantage of all the strength I have right now, all the things I can do, and live life to the fullest. So that's my biggest lesson as somebody living with lupus.
So tell us, with lupus, is there possibilities of having children?
Yes, yes, definitely. I have a lot of lupus sisters who they've given birth since after their lupus diagnosis. So lupus doesn't necessarily hinder women from giving birth. It just makes like the whole pregnancy period, it makes it a bit more high risk. And high risk means that, because of your condition, your doctors have to be aware of every step. So a lupus patient cannot just decide to say, I want to get pregnant today. You need to make sure that in the last 6 months, your doctors have confirmed that you are in a stable state of health, so that they are able to cut off like some of the medications that might affect your baby. Because when you're on medications, for example, they have to make sure that it's compatible with pregnancy. And before they can take you off those medications, it has to be that you have been in a very stable state. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to monitor that for the next 9 months. You won't have flares that would cause something to happen to you and also affect your baby. So a lot of lupus patients, they give birth as long as you keep your doctor. So apart from working with a gynecologist, you have to also work with your doctors so they know the kind of medications to give you that will not trigger flares, that will not affect your baby, or that will not even cause your own lupus to affect the baby as well. So yes, lupus patients, they actually give birth. It's just the fact that it's more sensitive and it's more high risk.
But your body is fighting itself. Won't it fight the baby? Since that's a foreign body.
Yes, yes, that's why I mentioned that the gynecologist and the rheumatologist will have to work together, because it means they have to monitor you every step of the way. And then what they will do at that point is they would suppress your immune system so much that it's not strong enough to attack your baby. So it also means that before you get pregnant, you would have they will be certain that for the next 9 months you do not have any symptoms that your body will not be able to take, so that they won't need to give you meds that might cause a flare, and that flare will not affect your baby. So it's always a very calculated process, and that's why I said a newborn patient cannot decide that, oh, I want to get pregnant today. It has to be your doctors monitoring you in the last 6 months, and then let you know, oh, this is the best time to get pregnant. So once you get married as a newborn patient, the doctors will start asking you, so what are your plans for having a baby? And then once you decide that, oh, it's time for you to do that, then they start monitoring your health and let you know, oh, this is the best time. And as soon as you get pregnant, your appointments are not just with your gynecologist, it's also with your doctors. Both doctors will be working together to make sure that every single sign, every single thing they see in your test, they are confirming that it's not your lupus attacking your baby. And there are times when lupus can even choose to attack you because you are not taking some of your meds anymore. So they have to be sure that if they replace your meds or they take off your meds, right, you are still fine enough to go through that pregnancy period. And then the funny thing is that some of my lupus sisters usually say that they actually had like really good pregnancies, because for some reason maybe the baby kind of tricks the body or something. But I've had like two or three of my lupus sisters tell me that they were their LDS when they were pregnant, almost as if the lupus was not there. But as soon as they delivered, everything came back. But throughout that process, right, they did not have any bad experience.
Because I think pregnancy somehow suppresses your immune system as well, reduces
Yeah,
immunity.
yeah. So yeah, they were. I have like four of them who have told me that their pregnancy period was, but it's different for different people. That's why doctors usually advise that you let them know every step of the way so they can tell you the best way to go about it.
Hmm. So, how has having a community actually helped?
Okay, so first, I won't lie, I was never interested in having a community when I was diagnosed, because I didn't like the whole we're going to hold hands and be crying together like, oh, this is happening to us, why are we sick? But then I realized that when I was diagnosed 9 years ago, I realized that people were so hush hush about lupus. Like they didn't want people to know that they had lupus. So at the time I was diagnosed, I didn't have anybody that was okay. There was an organization, there was a support group that I joined, but the founder had lupus, but she
Yeah.
lived abroad. So every time I wanted to organize events in Nigeria, she would come down. But then I noticed that nobody in that support group was talking about their lupus. Like people would have events and people would say they should not take pictures of them, or they don't want their family members to know they had lupus. So information online was limited. I didn't see somebody who was openly speaking about their struggles, who was openly talking about, oh, this is how I deal with my lupus. So everybody was for me. I don't want people to know. I don't want people to know. Like it was so bad that people would be hiding themselves at events, or they didn't want to talk about what they were going through. And I did not like that. So that was when I realized that community was not just even having people, it was like building people who could be, or coming to get, bringing people together who could be advocates. And that was when my perception changed, because first I didn't want to be going for one discussion and we'll be talking about how, but even when I joined those communities, I realized they were not even talking. They were not even ready to speak up. And nobody was talking about how you can be a student and manage lupus. Nobody was talking about how you could work and manage lupus. Everybody was just for me. I don't want to talk about it too. I don't want my loved ones to know. You hear people tell you that some of their parents don't even know, that only their husband knows, or people just hiding it. And that was when I realized that community had to come in. So over the years, I've joined like a couple of communities. I've been an active part of them. I've not founded my own community because it's a stressful thing. It's like a full-time job, because you have to go from advocating to soliciting funds, being there for people during emergencies. And that's a lot of, I really, really admire all the founders of the community that I'm in, because it's like a full-time job. They have to show up at the hospitals for people, even while they are dealing with their own things. But community has helped me to realize that um you have to live for more than just yourself, because I see a lot of people who see me talk about lupus and say, Mistura, it's good that you're talking about this. I also experienced this. And that was one thing that I did not have back then. And I'm glad that with the purpose I found in community, I'm also able to, listen to other people's struggles, their own stories. And from there, it informs all my advocacy efforts. So because some things that I did not experience, and I didn't know that it was something that happened to me first person. But when I hear those stories, I'm able to say, oh, these are the things that we can actually talk about and create awareness about. So that has also empowered me with knowledge, with getting other people's experiences. And then our communities are actually the communities that we built, they've been very supportive as well. You go for hospital clinic, you meet people, the vibe is nice, everybody is friendly, they're able to support you. People solicit funds. If you say you are sick today, there are thousands, hundreds of people that will say, what can we do, how can we help, even though they are going through their own. And that's like really beautiful to see. So I'm glad that community changed my mind, and it has also helped me in my advocacy journey. I've also met a lot of wonderful people, a lot of amazing people who are like, I call them my lupus sisters, because that's what they are. But yeah.
Not really heard of a man that has lupus.
Oh, there are men, but it's actually rare. So doctors say that out of 20 women, if 20 people have, if they we just see one, so 1 in 20 people have lupus. And lupus is actually tougher in men. All the symptoms that women face is like times two. And I don't know if it's because of their male hormones, but whatever women face with lupus, men face times two. I don't think I've met up to 10 men with lupus, even though I know about 200 women with lupus. So that's how rare it is. But they also have lupus. Nick Cannon has lupus now. This Mariah
Oh,
Carey's ex-husband.
he does?
Yeah, he has lupus.
The first person I actually heard about it from was Selena Gomez.
Yeah, Selena Gomez. Yeah.
Yeah, she was the one that everyone
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about.
talked
Then
about. Nick Cannon has lupus. There are men that have lupus, but their lupus is usually tough.
have you experienced any extreme flare?
Oh yes, yes, I have. In fact, I always call all my flares extreme, because 1 minute you are fine, the next minute, like your legs feel like there's somebody drilling nail inside it. So for me, my lupus has mostly been my skin and my brain. So I have what they call neuropsychological manifestation of lupus. Lupus that affects your brain. So in terms of neuropsychological symptoms. So when I have lupus, for example, all the depressive symptoms, they increase, like they times three. And once your mental state is in shambles,
Yeah.
no matter what is happening, even if the pain is just small, right? Um, it feels like your whole world is burning. Then I've also had like flares that now led to like other medical conditions. For example, I have fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is another autoimmune disease that causes you to feel like you're in pain all the time. And what that means is you can touch my skin small, it feels like you've punched my bone. That's like, I think that is like the worst of all the flares. The fact that I have like I would not call it like low tolerance for pain, but the fact that my body feels like I'm constantly in pain. So it's like I can take doses of painkillers, but that pain is almost permanent. So that's like one thing I'll call like the greatest flare because joint pains, muscle pain, even skin pain all the time. So it's like constant. So I've just learned to manage it. So even if I'm stepping out, I'm just trying to manage the pain. Like, oh, just convince myself that I'm not in pain. So that has been it. And also another strong flare was when I had to, like I mentioned, neuropsychological symptoms, hallucination, seeing things that are not there, feeling like things are happening around you and you're screaming and nobody gets it. There's also been that as well. And then there was a time I had serious like headaches that felt like I wanted to slam my head on the wall type of headaches, and it ended up being lupus. So but I think I would just say that I'm grateful that I haven't had long hospital admissions in a long time, but the flares have always been pain in the body, headaches, ache mostly. Yeah, and then there was a time I had like a scare of lupus nephritis. When lupus starts to attack your kidneys. But I'm currently still under observation. My doctors are still monitoring, but that was a major one for me
Yeah.
because lupus nephritis is the biggest killer of people with lupus. That's what kills people with lupus. So being told that you might have that, that has been like a scary phase for me, but my doctors are still monitoring and still making sure that it doesn't escalate into anything serious.
Well, okay. You're indeed. It's every day of just trying to live the next day, just trying to wake up the
Honestly,
next day and living
honestly,
one day at a time.
yeah, it is.
I know it used to be difficult getting rheumatologist.
Yeah.
Is it still difficult?
Ah, I wouldn't say difficult. It's just that the number has reduced. So, for example, I don't think we have up to 1,000 rheumatologists in the whole of Nigeria, and we have thousands of lupus patients. So it's a case of you go to the hospital, you have to wait hours to even see a doctor. And then rheumatology is not a discipline that a lot of people go into. And the ones that have even gone into it, like, for example, some of my doctors are relocated. Like as at last year, 2 years ago, we had like a lot of them rheumatologists, they've relocated outside Nigeria. So it's almost as if for every one doctor has to attend to like thousands of patients. So that is a major issue. So when you go to lasso, to go to note, you have to wait hours to see a doctor, and the doctors are, I mean, they will obviously be stressed when one doctor is attending to thousands of patients. But it has reduced now because now doctors know more about lupus. So even if you are not in Lagos, you can speak to a doctor that will recommend you to another doctor, and then they are now more closely knitted. So the doctors know where their colleagues are, so they are able to refer you. But the number is very small, very, very small.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abisola. Like looking at you, you're a warrior. Like you are always looking like there's nothing going on. The shots, even if something is burning inside you, we are not seeing it
That's the
at
fun.
all.
That's the coping mechanism, honestly. I'm very intentional about that. Even my doctors know when I go for appointments, I will wear my finest clothes. I can even wear yellow, or even the nurses will say, this auntie that is always wearing bright, bright colors. Because I don't want you to see me. Because I feel like that way means lupus has defeated me, right? I can be dealing with it, but I don't want people to see me and be able to say this girl is sick. And that's one way that's one thing that makes me feel like okay, I'm still winning because has not won yet. But I still have control over my looks, and I'll keep doing. And like I mentioned, I said lupus affected my skin, so I was insecure about that for the longest time, especially during the process where my skin was peeling off. But it didn't happen like at one go.
Yeah.
It was different patches. Like one patch of my face will peel off for a while. I'll have to carry that to class. I had cases where people would be pointing at me in class, it just made me like very intentional about if I get over this skin phase, I don't want to ever look like I'm sick. And that's what my fashion has been about.
What would you say to a young girl that has just been diagnosed?
Honestly, every time I'm asked this question, I always like not to sound too motivational because it's easier said than done.
Yes, said
But
and
one
done.
thing I would say is first, lupus can be managed. With lupus, you can still live um an averagely normal life. I won't call it normal life, but averagely. And I think one thing is, once you have that strong resolve that no matter what you've been diagnosed with, you are still going to make something for yourself. And I think it's something that your mental state does that empowers you. It was like saying that once your mind is willing, you can your body will be pushed to achieve it.
Yes.
So I think if you make sure that you hold on to that hope and that belief that lupus is not going to take your life or take away your dreams, I think you've solved half of the problem. And I know that regardless of what you're going through, once your mind is committed to believing that you can overcome that challenge, I think you can. I believe that you can. I mean, I'm a living proof of that.
Yeah.
You can always achieve your dreams. You can always go after whatever you want. And another thing is to never stop taking your medications. I know that it's hard going from not taking anything to now taking morning, afternoon, night. Sometimes it's very hard. But my biggest advice would be never stop. They work to a large extent. And those are like the things that you need to get over this phase. And then when it comes to listening to, no, another major advice would be to not hide that you have lupus. It's not a death sentence. It's not something to be ashamed of. You didn't choose to fall sick. You didn't choose to have a medical condition. It happened to you. And the fact that you can even rise above it is a strong story on its own. So never feel the need to hide that you have lupus, or start hiding while taking your medications, or feeling like people will look at you wrongly. Nah, you didn't do that to yourself. And I think if you take away the burden of shame, it even makes your life a whole lot better, because you are no longer thinking, oh, I don't want people to know. And that's stress on its own. And then understanding that your body is different from the next lupus patient. While it's good to have community, but don't compare your life to somebody else. Find what works for you. Understand your stressors, the things that makes you fall sick. Take your medications. Strengthen your mental health. Remind yourself every day that lupus is not the end. It's not a death sentence, and you can achieve all that you put your mind to. And I personally believe, I mean, look at Selena Gomez. She's living an amazing life. Even though we can say she has all the resources to take care of herself, but I think one thing is, once you push your mind, there's actually nothing you cannot achieve. And I don't want to sound motivational, but that's actually the truth. If your mind is strong, your body will be forced to go along with that strength that you built in your head.
Thank you so much for that. I'm sure a lot of us are curious about one thing. For me, I've always been curious about it. Have they actually found out what causes lupus?
Actually, they haven't, and that's why it's hard to find a cure, because there's really no explanation yet for why your immune system will just switch up on you. But then some are saying that it's the genes, or is okay. So there was a time I read something about how lupus is caused by, or is caused when you stress your body too much, by maybe probably going through a lot without expressing all your struggles, or being that somebody even said that it happens mostly to women, because women are the ones that take away other people's pains. Women go through a lot, they don't have anywhere um to channel that anger, so
Yeah.
that anger stores in their body, and then it causes your body. But all of these are just
Yeah.
essays. There's really no research yet, and that's why it's hard to find a cure.
What
But
will a 19-year-old be going through that would make her?
right, so yeah, so hopefully one day science would hit that milestone and find a cure for us.
Hopefully, so that fighters like you can live on and on and on and on.
Amen, amen.
So today we had Abisola, and she has been an amazing guest. So we'll be creating a design inspired by this warrior. Every lupus patient, this is for every lupus patient, every lupus warrior, because right now, calling them patients is even, I don't think that's the right thing to do. They are all warriors, and seeing each of them, like, I wish I could meet lupus warriors like every single time and just be shaking them on how amazing that they're doing. Like this, I don't know. This is not even going to be about my own personal journey with lupus. This is about Abisola today, and we're going to stick to that. So I'm really always happy seeing how you are fighting. Like whenever I go through your page, I'm like, this is so amazing to see someone, going through, because I personally I know what it feels like. I know how difficult it is. So seeing you coming out and just being yourself and doing everything that you want to do, even what you're doing right now, it's like, how is she doing it? And I'm happy to see you do it effortlessly.
Thank you.
I know there's effort going on
Yeah,
behind
but
the scenes,
yeah.
but from what we are seeing, it's effortless, and it is amazing to see you fighting this huge battle and still winning.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to be creating a design inspired by this warrior, and we'll be showing you guys what that looks like.
Hey.
Okay, so we're going to be creating a design for Abisola. Hi bestie. So we are creating a design for a warrior. Her name is Abisola. She is a lupus warrior. She's bright and a fashionista. So let's give her something that shows that she's a warrior, like an armor, something that expresses her strength and the battles that she is fighting secretly and in public, because she has made it, she doesn't hide that she's fighting these battles and she's winning every single day. Okay. So this is a representation of your blooming, because you are always looking gorgeous.
Thank
You
you.
keep your blooming every day, and you don't look like what you're going through one bit.
Okay.
So here's what I have for you.
Oh, this is so my style. Like from the sleeves to the flowers, the tail. This is definitely my style. And the short skirts. This is, I know. No, I love this. I love this. The sleeves especially, and I love a good suit. And the flowers, the fact that it has a train, I love it. Thank you. This is so nice. It's so nice. And she looks like me a bit. The model.
Yeah.
This is lovely. I love that the train is red. Like, I love red, so this is nice.
Thank you.
Sleeves, the suit, the train, the short skirts. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's beautiful. You want to make me cry. Thank you. This is lovely. It's really, really lovely.
Glad that you like it.
I really do. Thank you so much.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting every day. I hope that they find a cure soon, because keep fighting. Like, you're fighting for even the ones that couldn't fight, or not, they couldn't fight or were defeated at some point. You're fighting for all of them. I love to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here today. Like,
Thank you.
I thought the guests are supposed to be the emotional. So, today has been an emotional day for me, and it's not emotional in a bad way, it's emotional in a good way, because I know the things that she would have wanted to do, and seeing you do your thing, like she's not living through you, but you are living, and I can see, and I'm happy that somebody is living out of this. Like it's not I'm happy it's not killing everybody. So it's amazing seeing you do your thing. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching today's episode of Celebrating Women's Story. Today we have celebrated Abisola, and we hope to celebrate more beautiful women like this, fighters like this, warriors like this, that are pinning these things down, like they are holding it to ransom and slaying while at it. Until next episode, bye.